students of Malaysia and all the viewers. First of all, I'm extremely honored to be recording this testimonial for him. And I want to start off by quickly introducing myself. My name is Vinay Agarwal. I'm based out of Dallas in US and I work in Texas Instruments. I am right now managing the microcontroller business as part of Texas Instruments. And this is my first company that I've been working since I graduated first from IIT Kharagpur, and then I did my master's at Tufts University in Medford, USA. So before I dig into a testimony on Sir and how he does things, I really want to spend a few minutes talking about how I first got to know him. And when I started gathering my thoughts around this, I really had to date back and made me feel kind of old, but it's almost 20 years ago that I first met him. I think it was around 2002 or maybe 2001 end when I was towards the later half of Standard 12 doing my JE preparations, and I really needed somebody to help me accelerate through my preparations to get through the final finish line. And that's when Malaysia came in and helped me give that last push in the end. And sure enough, with his professional help and the guidance that he gave me, I was able to cross IIT-JE with a decent amount of ranking. But for me, what is most important is my journey and relationship with him did not just end there. I would almost call it like it started with JE for me. And, you know, right from the process of helping me through the JE rankings, choosing the right stream, helping me make the right engineering decisions through the courses, and even when I came to the US, new country, he's had the experience of living there. So he's he's helped me through that. My initial days in job in a corporation in America. He's been quote unquote, I would say, over the last 20 years, one of the many life coaches that I've had. So before going into saying anything else, I would first start off with a big thanks to what you have done to shape my life, sir. And among the few people that I regard as the highest, at the highest level in my life, you're one of them. So, really, thank you so much for helping me shape my fundamentals, helping me shape my thought process, and helping me get to where I am today. And you really helped me lay my foundations out. Uh, I was thinking about what should I say, and I don't think there's any point in me talking about physics, chemistry, maths. You guys have probably had enough of that already. But really, as I summarize my thoughts of what I've learned from him over the last close to 2 decades of knowing him, talking to him, getting his guidance, it really boils down to four things that I learned while on training, as well as just through conversations. And I've actually implemented this in my own life throughout the process. Uh, the first thing was self learning. I think when I first came to him, it was after, I believe I had, those were the days when you had a screening exam first in the December time frame, and then the mains took place in April. So I actually joined him after my screening was cleared. And to him, it was never hand holding. He would give you a high level guidance and just say, go learn through this. And even during those crucial times, it was immensely helpful to push me through my own limits, through my own comfort zones, and any status quo that I had developed in my mind. He would help me go over it by just pushing me to learn things on my own. And I learned a lot. Not that it only helped me in that process, but I can tell you, I'm in a semiconductor industry, and in my undergraduate, I never did semiconductors. But that DNA of self learning that he had put into me helped me guide my way through as I propagated my way through an industrial engineering course to a semiconductor. And now, even in my current role, as I went into TI as an engineer and I wanted to get into the business route, not knowing anything about finances and how a business is done in a big corporation, it was through this self learning that enabled me to get through all those challenges. So, really, not having gone through electronics as a major in undergrads and still working in one of the biggest semiconductor industries in the world for over a decade is part of something what I attribute to self learning that I learned from him. The second thing was bottoms up. Just dig as deep as you can. I'll give you an example of what he taught me. Um, when I first joined, I had you can imagine after having crossed IIT screening, it was already 1.5 years of education done, and he said, doesn't matter, still go through your basics and go back and come into my class 11 classes. So I joined him for the 2 3 classes of per week of class 12 sessions, but he came asked me to join the class 11 versions too. The whole idea was there were aspects where I was not very clear in understanding why something was happening on a chapter in class 12. Mechanics was one example. I hated that subject, full confession. But it was used on a lot of concepts that were needed in class 12 chapters. So he said, you can't do those until you understand what mechanics is. So go back and learn class 11. And even though I did not have time, and I was like screaming, what the hell? I just have 4 minutes and 4 months. I need to solve Fiji. I need to solve these correspondences. Like, doesn't matter. It would not hurt you if you don't cross five of these material, but it would really hurt if you don't understand that fundamental. So at that time, I reluctantly, but out of respect for a teacher, did it. But only after I crossed it and I started implementing it in my life, I realized how important of a lesson that was for me. And I'll give you an example from my personal life. Um, I, I joined IIT Kharagpur doing instrumentation engineering, which was basically how a control system works in a factory and PID and blah blah blah. Didn't understand much. I would not say anything. Some of my IT professors might be hearing this, but as much as I could understand, I tried to understand. But then my curiosity rose. How is this control system done? What are the semiconductor behind it? What are the PC boards and what are those things doing? So then I get down further and I got into board designs. Went down further, went into chip design. That was not enough. I went into transistor design and literally got into device physics. And a lot of this was self learning, but also I took courses. And in my master's, for 2 years, I spent a lot of time in clean room actually doing fabrication of devices by hand. It's a different issue that those 2 years made me super humble and I understood the importance of control Z in my life. When something goes wrong and an entire day of effort gets wasted, you feel the pain when you exit the lab. But it really made me a very humble human being, understanding all the basics. And when I understood how a transistor is made and I started doing circuit design, I could understand the pain and the language of people who were providing me with those transistors, with those simulation models. And then when I understood the design, I could understand the next level up, a board design. How are those chips done? I understand the challenges there. And when I do that design, then I can go up into the customers or the factory control systems and understand how they are done. But that attitude of digging deeper and deeper and deeper has helped me build a lot of fundamentals. And now that I'm running a business, I understand the breadth of everything that goes on in the industry because I've spent the time at the bottom, at the ground level, to understand the fundamentals of each every aspect of engineering. So even though I'm not doing it in my day-to-day life, but when a certain team comes to me with a certain challenge, I know what they mean, and I'm a partner in helping them solve that challenge rather than just somebody sitting at the top commanding them go and solve it. That goes a long way for you to come up with ideas, for you to grow some things, for you to just feel good and be successful in life. And I feel very fulfilled with that mindset that he has developed in me to go down to the details and really dig into things before you can elevate it one level up and solve the problem from that level. So that's one thing. um, the third thing is discipline. um, I would say that was something that any good person or any great teacher or anybody you would meet in your life or you have already met in your life would tell you, be disciplined. Parents tell the kids every day. And there's a language of discipline, waking up in the morning, all of this. But really, the aspect of being consistent is so crucial, because you're in a marathon. You're not running a sprint. Just crossing JE, if people tell you that this is it, you're done. I don't think that's true, because the more you do it in a consistent manner, but in a very steady way, and catch up, create your own pace, and grow it over time. That's okay. That helps a lot. And being disciplined about it can start with the simplest of things, like waking up in the morning, doing your chores on time, stuff like that. What I learned from him was, he would say there are certain hours of the day when you're most productive, depending on your routine and stuff. Don't let those hours go on a waste, you know. And between the 11 and 12 classes that I was doing, it was a pretty intensive 4 months of my life that I had spent with him. But he had given me simple little tricks on how to handle all of that and handle the pressure while maintaining a decent discipline in my life. And I learned a lot of lessons with that. And as after, even after JE, as we talked a lot, how I was settling in the US and a lot of things. And I took a lot of coaching on discipline and everything with him, not just with him, but through other avenues as well. And I can tell you one area where I really feel good and I feel bad every time I get out of this, my own order, is discipline. And that helps no matter what you do in your personal life, in your work life, in education. It's super easy to get out of discipline. But if you stay within discipline and be consistent, even if it's a lower level, you can always elevate yourself to a higher level if you're consistent over a period of time. So always think of that, be consistent over a longer period of time rather than trying to hit a home run or a six or whatever you want to call it for a short term success, because life is long term. That's how we need to view it. And the last thing I will tell you as a lesson that I learned from him was, nothing is ever 100% perfect. And if you try to make it perfect, you will either never do it or you will never get it perfected, which means you will be frustrated with yourself. So he used to call it the 7 square formula, point 7 square formula, which the basis for that, and it might have changed over the last 2 decades, is know 70% of your syllabus. And even if you do 70% of your peak performance in JE, you'll probably get around 50% marks, 49, right? And it's probably good enough to get you through JE. That's why I'm saying it might be different now, but that 7.7 square changed to 80% rule. Key is the same. For those of you who know statistics, you have a Gaussian. Everything in the world is a Gaussian. You cannot get the entire Gaussian. Try to get the max coverage, one or two time constants, and be happy with it, and then improve it over time. There is nobody has gotten anything to 100% perfection, and it's about how fast you can get to the best possible scenario and then move on and make it perfect and keep learning how to get things better and better over time. So really, there's a lot more that I've learned from him, but these are the four key aspects that come to my mind, for which I'm forever grateful to him. And I can tell you that I will keep using these few things as well as the other lessons that I've learned from him beyond the physics, chemistry, and math that I learned, not chemistry, physics, and math that I learned from him over a period of time. But very, very thankful to you. I'm indebted to you for an entire lifetime. And for those of you who are still getting education under him, I wish you all the good luck. And I hope that all of you have a good, successful career ahead of you. Thank you so much.